Hello, welcome to Bastions and Basilisks. I'm Kalvin.
I'm Brandon.
He's notoriously unreliable on his.
I was going to say my name's unreliable.
Does Brandon mean unreliable?
Synonymous at this point.
That's true. We're doing the Grave Domain. Salem, we're halfway. We were in the middle of a conversation when I started the video. Salem is. I love you, Salem. If you're watching this, but he will admit he follows the pagan standard time, so he's always late. It's at least he's at least consistent. I think that's the part that matters. He's consistently late. It's when he shows up earlier, like, bro, you okay? Did somebody die? Did you think we started an hour early? So Grave Domain, first level domain spells. Bane, False Life. Bane's all right. False Life is solid. I don't know how useful Bane False Life would be just out in the wild, but if you need it, you got it. Gentle level, third level, Gentle Repose. Second level, Ritual. Grave Enfeeblement. Fifth level, Revivify. Great. Because that means you don't have to, because it's a domain spell, you do not have to prep it. Which means your Grave Domain Cleric always has Revivify on tap. Vampiric Touch, solid. Seventh Domain, Blight, Death Ward. I've seen that before. Ninth level, Anti-Life Shell, Raise Dead. Once again, you have a resurrection ability always. Not necessarily as good as Revivify, because that one's kind of pew, but getting Raised Dead is more expensive, unless you're playing a certain barbarian subclass. I like Grave Domain Cleric. So, Circle of Mortality, turn. What is the lesson that we shall learn? At first level, you gain the ability to manipulate the line between life and death. So it's a squiggly line. When you would normally roll one or more dice to restore hit points with a spell to a creature at 0 hit points, you instead use the highest number possible for each die. So it is a maximized heal for unconscious allies or for unconscious people. It's one of those things, like, I'll get to that. In addition, you learn the Spare the Dying cantrip, good cantrip, which doesn't count against the number of cleric cantrips you know. Good. For you, it has a range of 30 feet and can be cast as a bonus action.
Super, super important.
The fact that this isn't the only ability you get at first level, like, we were talking about, I forgot about Grave Domain, but we are talking about how great Forge Domain is starting out. Grave Domain is incredible. We like it. Salem Elkin, his nihilistic Frenchman half elf. Oh, I love Elkin. He's a Grave Domain cleric. That, like, it gets to the point where he's like, if you're low hit points, he's like, just get knocked out. I could waste a spell slot to heal you 1d8 plus whatever, possibly roll max, or you just get knocked out, and then next turn, especially in the game we were playing in, it was Lily, one of my older siblings. They were playing a Life Domain cleric. So essentially, it's one of those things that if they're still conscious, Rope heals them. If they're unconscious, Elkin heals them. Because the Life Domain, we'll get to Life Domain, but like maximized heal, you're like, I think we've used that, and he's dropped a third or fourth level spell slot. It's like, all right, that's 4d8 plus whatever. So that's like, boom, heal 30, 32, 35, 36, because I think it's d8 plus something, your spell modifier. So I think it's like heal 37 hit points. You went from 0 to 37 with one spell slot. Like, it's so strong. Yeah, you have to be knocked unconscious, and so people could, kick you while you're down. But if you get knocked down and I go after you, I heal you, you're back in the fight. You're not just a little in the fight. You're back in the fight, especially if you have one of my favorite feats, the Remarkable Recovery feat. because you're regaining hit points. So you regain an additional con modifier to hit points. So now you go from 0 to 45 or whatever. You're like, I'm back. Spare the Dying, good cantrip. Normally a standard action.
Yeah.
So
So
the
being able to use it at a range and as a bonus action.
exactly so strong because what if two people go down in a turn? Who is? I'm using Elkin as the example. Just show how badass Elkin is after I made fun of Salem at the beginning of this video. Salem's self-aware enough that if he's watching this episode, he won't be mad at me for calling him out like this. If he has to make a decision, does he have to make? He doesn't have to make the decision because how it works is that if you cast a spell, you could only cast a cantrip as or as a bonus action or whatever it is. Like he can cast a heal spell and a cantrip in the same turn.
He could.
I think that's how it works. But
if we're going based off of what I think you're thinking, which I don't know fully, but I know.
It's one of the if you cast a spell, you can only cast a cantrip as a bonus action. I think is the ruling. Or you've cast a cantrip, you can only cast another spell as a bonus action. Or no, it's you can only cast a cantrip. It's a whole thing with his sorcerer, because the being able to cast a spell as a bonus action with your meta magic ability is stupid because you're like, cool. What the fuck else am I gonna do? Am I gonna run twice? Like what? Why would I waste a spell? But yeah, he can essentially go, cool. Spare the Dying on you. And then heal the other person. Like we need, once again, if we're like another healer, you're like, cool, we need the other healer up. They're going next. Cool. I spare the Dying on you, so you're good. You're stable. No more death saves. So even if somebody attacks you, you still have you're back at 0 death saves. You're stable. Yeah. Or once again, one of my favorite feats, I stabilize. If he's playing, we got Chips and we got somebody else. He's like, cool. I cast this. I cast Spare the Dying on Chips. Chips stabilizes, which triggers his remarkable recovery. Now he's back at 5 hit points. And then I walk over and I heal this person for 30 points of healing. So 2 people could be back up. Minimum, 1 person is stabilized, 1 person is standing. Best case, depending on feat uses, he's back in the fight. He's still laying down, but he's still up, and you're up. Like you're both conscious now. We just went from half of the party being unconscious to all the party being so. It's so good. It's such a strong, and like I said, that's not the only ability they get at first level.
Yeah, there's even further.
There's more.
Half of the first level, and it's already.
Yeah, I would be happy. Right, I would be happy with just Circle of Mortality. Just that is good enough. And yet, then we have Eyes of the Grave. At first level, you gain the ability to occasionally sense the presence of the undead, whose existence is an insult to the natural cycle of life. As an action, you can open your awareness to magically detect undead. Until the end of your next turn, you know the location of any undead within 60 feet of you that isn't behind total cover and that isn't protected from divination magic. This sense doesn't tell you anything about a creature's capabilities or identity. You can just feature a number of times equal to your wisdom modifier, minimum once. You regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. Not the greatest ability. So but
it has its uses, but
it's like a paladin. A paladin can be like sense evil. We're like, cool, we got some undead. You're just like, I'm getting sketch. You get a detect undead wisdom modifiers per day for free. Yeah. You're not wasting a spell. You're not you're not wasting a magic item. You're just
Yeah, you say you're in a place that there's a lot of undead. You could use this to possibly, this is until what, the end of your next turn, correct? Until the end of your next turn. So if you're walking, there's a certain percentage or a certain amount that you'll know what's ahead of you or around you, surrounding you. So you could use this in a couple different ways. And the cool thing is that you already have a really strong intro as a first level, and then you get this on top of it. So it really just continues going up. It may not be, in my opinion, exponentially higher, but you still have a good set of
Yeah,
this
it's
and pretty
it's
much get a
once
free
again
spell.
it's circumstantially useful. If you don't run into a lot of undead, you still have Circle of Mortality.
It
Worst,
works in my opinion. The
right?
mana cost,
Worst case, you never use it. You still have Circle of Mortality. Best case, you get a lot of use out of it because you're like, are these people? Or you're just like, some people. You're like, is that guy undead? He looks like he could not be. I use this. Boom! I detect undead. That guy's undead. I
yep.
don't know if invisibility is divination magic or not. Any undead within 60 feet that isn't behind total cover, and so if they're invisible, you might still be able to see them.
I
Or if
can
they're
tell you
hiding poorly, or if they're
is a
fake. So yeah, so theoretically, you could detect undead even if they're invisible, or if they're pretending to be dead, like dead. So you're like, this room, like your perception check, maybe you're like something is off about, or your investigation, you're like something's off about this room, these corpses. You're like,
they're not merely pretending, guys.
detect undead, and then you're like, yeah, those over there are undead. Those are dead. Those are undead.
Those will come back up.
So it's circumstantially a really useful ability.
Yes, I agree.
And then Channel Divinity, Path to the Grave. Such a good ability. Starting at second level, you can use your Channel Divinity to mark another creature's life force for termination. As an action, you choose one creature that you can see within 30 feet of you, cursing it until the end of your next turn. The next time you or an ally of yours hits the cursed creature with an attack, the creature has vulnerability to all of the attack's damage, and then the curse ends.
Holy shit.
Yeah, which you can use at second level once per short rest. We did it with once again, I gotta praise him as much as I gave him shit. That's how friendship works. Actually, the fight that the in Defensify the Arg video on my channel, the fight that occurred, we were fighting an angel. Salem Cat used Path to the Grave on the angel. Perrin, my cleric, had cast an upcast spiritual weapon. So I think I cast it as like a second level spell, so it did like 2d8 force damage instead of 1d8. And then he cast it on them, and then I hit it with that. So I did 4d8 plus 4 force damage. So I think I did like 30 some odd damage. I think I rolled really well for my damage. So I did like 32 points of damage or something like that with that, which is and we were only level like 5, I think. 5 or 6. I think we were 5. We might have actually even been even lower. It might have only been like 4th level. Like I was just like kaboosh, and I took a chunk out of that angel. The angel actually ran away, coward, but flew away like a bigger coward. There's a reason that Fire the Arg attacked her. But yeah, Path of the Grave. If like it's one of those, especially if some like it's always useful.
Yes, I agree. Unless you could this theoretically overtake immunity?
Not immunity, but if somebody has resistance, they cancel each other out, or they don't. Technically, they don't cancel each other out.
You just get normal damage out of it.
No, what happens? There's an order of operations. It PEMDASes. If I think you take resistance first, so it's if you were to take 15 damage, but you're resistant to it and vulnerable to it, you would resistance first, so decrease it by half, round down. So you go to 7. Half of 15 is 7.5. You round down to 7. Then you double it, so you take 14 damage. So you're taking 1 point less of damage. So sometimes it matters. Sometimes it's if you take 16 damage and you have resistance and vulnerability, you take 16 damage. But if it's an odd number, you take 1 less point of damage, which we've stated in the past video. 1 point of damage makes all the difference.
I agree.
So but yeah, like it's like there's combinations that you can get into with this because think about you're with um, an assassin rogue. The enemy's surprised. Boom, path to the grave. Now the attack against them is an automatic critical hit, which they have advantage on, and they're vulnerable, so they take 4 times as much damage. Or you're with a warlock who has Eldritch Smite, or a paladin who has Smite.
I was thinking about paladins and
Or
something that's like fucked against radiant.
Or barbarian, although they do a lot. Or fighter, who has the great weapon fighter. Like there's like just a rogue in general. You're like, hey rogue, kick the thing's ass, and the rogue's like, you got it. Blood fountain. So yeah, Path to the Grave is incredibly powerful. It is always useful, and it's always useful. It's like it's nerfed by being once per short rest at 2nd level.
Yeah,
that's it. But then you get it, I think, a second time at 6, and then another time at higher. Like you get it, I think, at least 3 times. So you could 3 per short rest.
So, you get really good usage out of this.
Oh yeah, like I said, Salem used it beautifully, and then I hit a thing and did 30 points of damage. So that angel was like, "Oh, I don't want to be here anymore. Silly me." Yeah. Sentinel at Death's Door. Yeah, I forgot how good this was. Sentinel at Death's Door. At 6th level, you gain the ability to impede Death's progress. As a reaction, when you or an ally that you can see within 30 feet of you suffers a critical hit, you can turn that attack into a normal hit. Any effects triggered by the critical hit are canceled. So a maybe Vorpal but vicious weapon is negated. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your wisdom modifier. You gain up spend to use as a short rest. Or long rest. Long rest. I think what's his name? Telian? Tilician, whatever the hell his name is, from Critical Role.
Listen.
Yeah, his second character was a Grave Domain cleric. I think the enemy got a critical hit on the ship that they were on, and he was like, technically the ship's an ally, technically it was within 30 feet of me. So I think Matt was like, fuck it, and allowed him to use Sentinel at Death's Door against the ship that just got critically hit. But I mean, the only negative is it's not even a negative. It's just a way to limit how powerful this is. It's a reaction.
Yeah.
So that's not a negative. That's fair. And yeah, it's limited by your wisdom modifier, but a lot of abilities are limited X usage per long rest.
That's not bad though. Like you said, it has its ability to be very useful, and it's one of those things where it's 6th level. You get to get an ability like this. I don't see a negative in that. It's good for its level, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. So it's strong. I forgot how good Grave Domain Cleric is. So good. Negating a critical hit is great.
Oh yeah,
and canceling any effects triggered by a critical hit are even better. So, like, it's a lot of these abilities are like 10 out of 10. Potent spellcasting, we've already established we love it. Keeper of Souls, at 17th level, you can seize a trace of vitality from a parting soul and use it to heal the living. When an enemy you can see dies within 30 feet of you, you or one ally of your choice that is within 30 feet of you regains hit points equal to the enemy's number of hit dice. You can use this feature only if you aren't incapacitated. Once you use it, you can't do so again until you start. Once you use it, you can't do so again until the start of your next turn. I can never remember that. So if they have 10 hit dice, you heal 10 hit points, or you heal. I assume it's if they're a 10 hit die monster, you heal 10 hit points. Because of the fact that you can use it at most once a turn. If it was like once per long rest, it might have been like they have 10d10, they have 10 hit dice. You roll 10d10. Your ally
say the
your
number
ally,
of the hit. So this being a 17th level and it's once per turn, and this is specifically when an ally goes down.
When an enemy you see dies, and it's you
Yeah,
or an ally, so it's
my bad.
yeah, so it's limited. Its range is limited, which is fair, but it's you
It's
or an
not bad.
ally. It's you or an ally, especially if your ally is the one that's keeping things from hitting you.
It
You're like,
does. It doesn't say it's an action or bonus action or anything. It just happens.
okay, when an enemy, it's true.
So you can
It's
just
not a reaction.
yeah. So say you drop someone down, you automatically can give you or someone else that is an ally free health, and then you get to do whatever else. Unless there's more to this, and I just missed it. Nope. At least not on this site.
The only thing is that, and I had to verify, this does not. Well, it wouldn't matter because it's a never mind. It's a set amount of healing anyway, so that's fine. I was like, it doesn't stack with your circle of mortality. You don't maximize it because you're healing whatever their hit dice. So you're not rolling. If it was rolling, see that's where it would be nasty. If it's you roll, that's where it'd be disgusting. Like your fighter gets dropped and then somebody you just you just stab a gecko or something. You're like, I hate that gecko. You stab the gecko, and then now you heal your fighter, 100 hit points or something. But no, yeah, the fact that I didn't even notice that it wasn't a reaction or anything. It's just boom.
I had to reread it.
You're like, oh, what's that? You're just like, whoop. The only thing that doesn't make some kind of sense is this is Xanathar's? Yeah. In the Forgotten Realm, souls are like a big deal. So manipulating even a fraction of a soul doesn't make sense. That's why I actually really hate the one of the warlock subclasses that they're like, we possess your soul and turn you into a banshee. And I'm like, you're hijacking somebody's soul. Like that's not
just added incentive to hate warlocks.
Right. It's not like it's in the although I guess anything before 2014 is no longer canon in the fucking books anyway, according to Perkins, I think.
I have no idea what you're talking about. This is my first time hearing it.
That's fine. Anyway, Keeper of Souls is a really good ability.
I agree. Like I said, it doesn't take an action, bonus action, reaction. It is just free health as soon as you down something.
And you can't do it again until the start of your next turn. So if somebody kills something and then it's your turn next turn, like you're like, I get it. So it's once per turn. Anytime something dies.
Yep.
So I mean, sometimes, yeah, it could be really good with. It could once again, it's one of those things that can turn the tide of battle.
So, and here's another thing: it doesn't say that your ally has to be conscious.
No.
So imagine you use this ability on someone who's down, and you have multiple party members down, and then you use that other ability on someone else.
Well, you couldn't get. Although, yeah, I totally didn't even count.
Oh no, it says if you aren't incapacitated. I just reread it. I'm an idiot.
Right.
I completely blocked that out by accident. So ignore the last 30 seconds.
Oh yeah, it would make no sense. You're like, I'm sleeping. I healed you in my sleep. Unless you took like the sleepwalking feat. That's not a feat. But I didn't even account for using like mass healing word. So if you have multiple allies down, you use mass healing word. It maximizes for all of the ones that are down.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
very, very useful.
I'm going to say that this might be better than Forge now that I'm thinking of it. I think
they have their niche.
Yeah.
Like
no.
What they offer very good.
Forge is strong in its niche. And outside of its niche. This is strong, period. D&D is a combat game. So having somebody that has all of these abilities that negate critical hits, that make somebody vulnerable, that can make somebody heal, max, stabilize as a bonus action, heal as a free action when somebody goes down. Like it has so many versatile abilities that it's ludicrously powerful. Like I said, we'll get to life domain, but a life domain and a grave domain cleric in the same party, like your party's good.
Very useful so far.
Agreed. Oh yeah, it's so good. Also, I love you, Salem. Please don't hate me anymore. Just kidding. So yeah, so that was grave domain cleric. I'm also realizing because it's dark out, I look so dark. Death domain cleric. Angsty. You missed it. I put a thing on my face. All right, so that's grave domain cleric. I hope you liked it. Bye. Oh, I'm Kalvin. That's what I'm supposed to do. I'm great at this.
And I am a mistake. I'm Brandon.
Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and comment. And now you get to listen to the outro song. And that's the outro song. Yeah!